I welcome you to the pure world I have forged.
Hello everyone. There's been speculation that the November chapter this year could be a Resident Evil Part 3. This has seemingly been debunked by Eric Pope on X, but it got me thinking. Are there any other licenses in DBD that deserve a Chapter 2 first? DBD currently has over 20 licenses, with only Resident Evil having had a sequel chapter. I want to look through the majority of the licenses we already have, and see if any of them have potential for a sequel chapter as well. This video is purely speculation and nothing has been confirmed, but it's always fun to explore these ideas. Anyway, in no particular order, here are the licensed chapters currently in DBD that have potential for a Chapter 2. Probably the biggest candidate for a sequel chapter in DBD, Stranger Things offers a bunch of characters that could fit nicely into the survivor and killer roles. Starting with the survivors, we of course have Jim and Joyce, both mainstay characters in Stranger Things. I also like the idea of adding them mainly because they are a little bit older, so it'd be nicer to have a bit more age variety. That being said, there are fan favourites like Robin and Eddie that I think a lot of people would love to see. That then leads us into like legendary skins as well, so fan favourite characters like Barb, Billy, or even Chrissy I think people wouldn't mind seeing, even if they were just legendary skins. And for our killer, I mean of course it's going to have to be Vecna. They would have to do enough I think just to make him feel different from the actual Vecna we already have in game, but considering all the range of powers he has in the show, it's absolutely doable. I'm not going to go too into like killer powers and such here, but I think his power could be inspired by how he traps his victims with psychic hallucinations. That could sort of make them vulnerable, and maybe he could also use telekinesis to harm survivors as well. As for his skins, he has his human form and his half-transformed form, so there's a couple of base ones right there for you to work with. With the Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill F and a Silent Hill 1 remake coming, this series' popularity could be a good sign for a Part 2 in DBD. So for our survivors, we of course have Harry Mason from the original Silent Hill. It's strange that he's not a legendary skin already for Cheryl, considering she's already got a bunch of Silent Hill 1 characters as legendary skins like Lisa and Sybil. Other than that, I've only actually played the first 3 games in the series, but I know there are other protagonists that could work like Travis Grady or Alex Shepard. I also think Anita from the Silent Hill short message could work too. And with Silent Hill F coming out in September, that would be a perfect time to see Hinako appear as a survivor as well. There are already a lot of legendary skins for Silent Hill, so maybe if Harry was the new survivor, Travis or Alex could be a legendary for him. Other iconic characters for legendaries include Claudia or Vincent from Silent Hill 3. Like I said, I've only played the first 3 games, so if you have any additional ideas, please comment below. Like and sub as well if you're enjoying the video so far. Silent Hill is known for its colourful collection of horrible monsters. Of course, Pyramid Head is already in the game, being the most iconic Silent Hill monster for sure. There are many options for a second killer from Silent Hill as well. The Missionary from Silent Hill 3 would be a good choice, a major boss that attempts to hunt down Cheryl. Since DBD doesn't always pick characters from the same game for their licenses, I see no reason why you couldn't pair up Silent Hill 1's Harry with Silent Hill 3's Missionary. The Silent Hill Revelations version would make a cool legendary skin too. The Sakura head from the short message is such an awesome design, it literally stalks Anita throughout that game, so it would slot nicely into the killer role in DBD. Silent Hill F is offering some cool creatures too, with the Priestess and the Ayakakashi being both good picks. One of the most iconic Silent Hill enemies are the nurses, and with so many designs, they could be an excellent choice for a killer too. An expansive series, Alien has a lot of potential for a new survivor and killer. There have been various protagonists over the years, including Elizabeth Shaw or Danny. I feel like Amanda Ripley from Alien Isolation would be an excellent pick, as she's actually Ripley's daughter. There are many iconic side characters that could work as legendary skins for either Ripley or the hypothetical new survivor. Ripley's crewmates in the original film, such as Dallas or even Ash, would be an interesting choice. David or Andy are other synthetics that would suit too. Aside from the xenomorph, the Alien series has a whole host of creatures that could play killer in DBD. The engineers would make an impressive killer. They are big, imposing and intelligent. Another pick could be the horrifying offspring from Alien Romulus. Castlevania seems to be having a resurgence in recent years, with the popular animes on Netflix and the various game collections. With rumours of a new Castlevania in the works, a sequel chapter for DBD wouldn't be out of nowhere. A major character from Castlevania that would suit as a new survivor is Richter Belmont. One of the most iconic characters in the series, it's interesting he wasn't made into a legendary skin for Trevor. Like Harry Mason from Silent Hill, it makes me wonder if they were deliberately left out to then add as a brand new survivor in a later chapter. Other than Richter, Maria is a prominent character in the series who'd be a good pick. Her outfit is worn by Kate, but as we have Feng wearing a Jill cosplay with Jill also in the game, Maria would still be possible. Same for Cypher and Shanoa. I feel like the Netflix shows would probably require different licensing to fit into DVD, but if not, there are many picks that could fit their survivor role too. Annette, Edouard and Terra would be my choices. There have been so many iconic characters in Castlevania's history, so legendary skins are abound. Hector, Isaac or Eric would make decent legendaries, mainly looking at the video game versions of these characters. Some of them do appear in the anime as well, with different designs, so maybe they could work too. Castlevania has a whole host of villains and creatures that could fit the role of killer in DBD. A recurring villain in the series is Carmilla, a vampiress usually floating on a skull. She is a follower of Dracula and has had numerous appearances in the Castlevania series. I like the idea of a killer using a method to travel around the map that they can leave and then pursue survivors independently. Maybe Carmilla could float around on her skull as a means to fast travel the map, then dismount to chase survivors like normal. Having been in multiple games, Carmilla would be rife with cosmetics too. Another pick could be Elizabeth Bartley, an antagonist from Castlevania Bloodlines, who can transform into a Medusa-like beast. There are also many recurring monsters in the series, such as the Succubus, with various designs that could fit the killer role nicely. Again, if you can think of any characters that would fit as a survivor or killer from Castlevania, comment below! Currently our most recent and a highly anticipated chapter in DBD, there has been much talk about future content for Five Nights at Freddy's in Dead by Daylight, including a second chapter. This isn't a series that I'm that knowledgeable on, but having looked at various characters on the wiki, there is no doubt that a second chapter for FNAF could absolutely work. Looking at the wiki, many of the protagonists in FNAF are kids, so that's a big no-no for a survivor. That being said, we have Michael Afton from the OG game, but he doesn't seem to have a design. I feel like Behaviour could take some creative liberties and design him themselves to fit the survivor role. Another pick could be Vanessa, although she could also be a killer depending on which version you look at. The more obvious choices seem to be the movie versions of Mike and Vanessa. Since the FNAF map is inspired by the movie, and we have a Matthew Lillard skin, they would fit the survivor mould for sure. Even I know, as someone with a limited knowledge of FNAF, that Foxy is a character the fans would love to see as a killer. There are rumours he might end up as a legendary skin for Springtrap or maybe Blight, but from what I've seen, I think he could work as his own killer too. He's known for speedily running towards you in FNAF for the jump scare, so his power could simply be to zoom around the map. Any FNAF fans, please comment below and tell me what kind of power you would like Foxy to have. Of course, the FNAF series is known for its collection of animatronics. I'm sure there are so many that could work for a killer. Vanny from Security Breach stood out to me as well. She seems to affect the player's vision when approaching, causing a glitching effect. Apparently she's a follower of Glitchtrap, so maybe this is why she affects people digitally. She also controls security bots to tear up Freddy. Having her send her security bots around the map would be a terrifying thing to encounter for sure. So Hellraiser is an interesting chapter to talk about. Not only is the license currently removed from DBD, but as a whole chapter, it was kind of lacking in content. This may be down to the NFT and licensing issues perhaps, but it's odd that this chapter never got a survivor or a map. While a sequel chapter is unlikely while the license is absent, there is a lot of content in the Hellraiser universe that could work for DBD. Besides, the Stranger Things license did return, so hopefully the Hellraiser one will return one day as well. It goes without saying that Kirsty Cotton would be our number one pick for a Hellraiser survivor. Not only has she encountered the Cenobites several times, but she's also escaped them successfully all those times as well. She even becomes a Cenobite in the comics too. Other than Kirsty, there are a few protagonists in the Hellraiser films. I feel like a major one would be John Merchant from Hellraiser Bloodlines. His family lineage goes back to the 18th century, and it was his ancestor who made the famous puzzle box. Essentially, John's bloodline has the power to seal the Cenobites away for good, making him an ideal pick for a survivor in DBD. Also, Riley from the 2022 Hellraiser could work as well. As mentioned before, there are many protagonists in the Hellraiser series, many of which could work as legendary skins. Joey from the 3rd film, Amy from the 6th film, or Jophiel from the 10th film would be cool picks. John Merchant has his ancestor Philippe Limachan, the man who created the Lament configuration, and his descendant, Paul Merchant from the future, that could also work as legendaries. While the Cenobites often take the main stage in the Hellraiser movies, they are sometimes portrayed in a more neutral light. In the 1st film, Frank and Julia are the actual villains, with Julia returning from hell in the 2nd film to wreak havoc again. As Kirsty's evil stepmother, she could have an interesting dynamic with her in DBD's trials. Angelique from the 4th film would also be a great pick for Killer. The daughter of Leviathan, she is a demon summoned to Earth who acts as a rival to Pinhead. She also has a connection to John Merchant and his family. I feel like she could use her demonic powers of seduction to work as a contrast to Pinhead in DBD. She would be the pleasure to Pinhead's pain. Her power could involve weakening survivors using her disarming aura, making them vulnerable. 2022's version of Pinhead would be awesome too, but I feel she would work better as a legendary skin for the Pinhead we already have. Hopefully she could have her own voice lines and Mori though. So that does it for the full licensed chapters we already have in DBD. There are a few I've omitted from this list, like Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, mainly because I'm not sure what else you could add from those series aside from an extra survivor or cosmetics. Again, any ideas, please comment below, I'd love to read them. However, we're not done quite yet. We do have a bunch of so-called half chapters with sequel potential in DBD as well. I think it would be kind of interesting to see what a second half chapter to one of these would look like. Bill Overbeck was the first half-chapter survivor added to DBD. He's one of many survivors from the Left 4 Dead franchise. As a result, a Left 4 Dead style chapter could totally work in DBD. Literally called survivors in Left 4 Dead as well, we have Francis, Louis, Zoe, Ellis or Rochelle that could work in a sequel chapter. As for the killer, Left 4 Dead is crawling with horrible zombie creatures that would fit nicely. The most notable one, and one I think would work well as killer, is the Witch. Her running around, screaming, and chasing survivors in DBD would be so scary. The Evil Dead is an iconic horror series that finds the balance between horror and comedy. With the iconic Ash already being in DBD, you might think there isn't much else for this franchise to add to DBD, right? As the Ash we have is from Ash vs. The Evil Dead, we can look to that series for inspiration for a second chapter in DBD. For survivors we have Ash's friends Pablo and Kelly. We also have his estranged daughter Brandy that could work for the survivor role. And as for our killer, focusing just on the series, Ruby would make a great killer from Ash vs. The Evil Dead. She is a Dark One and the creator of the Necronomicon. With dark magical powers, her killer power could see her using spells from the Necronomicon to mess with the survivors. Spanning nearly 30 years, The Tomb Raider franchise has a lot of horror adjacent aspects that could work well in DBD. I feel like Tomb Raider could have a second half chapter where we simply just get a killer from the series. That being said, there are still other characters that could work as survivors. Lara Croft is the main girl in the Tomb Raider franchise, but there have been some prominent supporting characters that could join her in DBD as a fellow survivor. First of all, we have Curtis from Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, the first secondary playable character in Tomb Raider, with a history of demon hunting and psychic powers, who'd fit well into DBD's survivor roster. We also have Amanda Everett from Tomb Raider Legend and Underworld. She survived being drowned alive in the past, finding a powerful artifact giving her access to demonic powers. She is a former friend of Lara's, who resents her for escaping the flooded tomb. While she becomes a rival to Lara, she also becomes an ally later down the line. The Lara we have in DBD is from the 2013 game, so the reboot era as it's known by the Tomb Raider fanbase. As a result, there's quite a few characters from the 2013 game that could be used even if they're just legendary skins. People like Jonah, Alex, Reyes or Sam would be interesting. I think Sam especially because Lara does make reference to her a lot in DBD. From other Tomb Raider games we have someone like Winston. Probably would have to be his legend version, as the original version I don't think would be able to outrun the killer. Also characters like Zip and Larson would be quite nice to see as legendaries as well. Tomb Raider's killer potential is stacked pretty high. So as said before, the Lara we have in DBD is from the 2013 game, in which she and her crew wash up on the island of Yamatai. Their main focus is to try and escape the island, but they can't because of the Sun Queen Himiko and her powers. Himiko is the main villain of the 2013 game, and has power over the elements. She could kind of be the Tomb Raider equivalent of Vecna, having various different abilities, blizzards to slow down survivors, lightning to strike them from a distance, etc. As a rotting undead sorceress, she would be an excellent pick for a killer in DBD. Going back to the OG Tomb Raider, one villain that would fit the killer role so well would be Natla. She's essentially the arch-nemesis of Lara, and has had multiple appearances in the franchise. She's an Atlantean queen who has lived for thousands of years, and wants to improve humanity by releasing armies of mutants into the world, thereby enforcing evolution. She can fly and shoot fireballs using either a mutant arm cannon, or through her own power, depending on which version you have. She's also had multiple designs over the years, so her cosmetics would be thriving. Eckhart from AOD or the Doppelganger from Underworld could work well too. And there we have it. As I said earlier, there are a few licenses I've skipped, mainly because I don't know if they have enough content for a sequel chapter on their own. Things like Chucky or Saw could totally get more cosmetics, but probably wouldn't get a full second chapter. Maybe some of them could get a half chapter with just one survivor or killer. Again, this video is totally theoretical, but clearly quite a few of these licenses warrant a second chapter. I do feel like Stranger Things FNAF and Silent Hill are probably the most likely to get one, but I'd also love to see part 2s for Castlevania, Tomb Raider and Hellraiser as well. I was mainly inspired to do this video because I feel as cool as a Resident Evil Part 3 would be, many of these other licenses should at least get a Part 2 first. Still, a Resi Chapter 3 would be awesome, and maybe I'll explore that idea in a future video. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more DBD content from me, please check out these two videos. We have me talking about what licensed killers would work in 2v8, and this other one we have is me talking about what fighting game characters could work in DBD, so feel free to check those out. I also stream on Twitch, which you can find here too. I do stream DBD often as well, so it'd be nice to see you in there. That's it for now. Thanks again for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.